Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this installment of In the Springs. I am your host, Ryan Lowry. Tonight's episode was recorded at the legendary Looney's Comedy Corner right here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Had a chance to sit down with a great stand-up comedian out of Dallas, Texas, by way of Manchester, England. The lovely and talented Mr. Steve Hirst is in the Springs.
All right, Steve. Good to see you, man.
Good to be back. Good to see you. Good.
Excellent. Well,
Sober.
I appreciate you taking
Good
the time.
to see you sober.
Yeah. We'll get into that as well, smartass. All right, so my first question, obviously, you're not from around here.
Yeah.
Manchester, England, originally. Yeah. Why don't we like soccer in the United States?
Because you're not good at it.
Huh. All right.
Well, because half your team is Mexico, isn't it?
But
really?
they're little fast guys, though.
Yeah, but like this is whenever the World Cup is on, your borders get really lax. Have you noticed that? Because you need players.
I haven't.
Yeah.
So is the World Cup, is that a big deal?
It's huge.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a great there was a really good thing on I think it was on Fox or something. But they were saying they had some American reporters in Brazil, right, buying shirts, and they were like, we can't get an American shirt anywhere. Nobody sells them.
Right.
So they went into a store and they went, do you have American shirts? And they were like, why would you want an American shirt? They're like, we could order one, I guess.
Are we really that bad?
Yeah.
No kid. So like if you took the best pro team in the States, you cobbled together the best pro team, and they played Manchester United.
They did that. I saw them
so
play.
What happened?
They got beat 5-1 in Houston. I saw they did the All-Stars, they were called, which they shouldn't because there's no stars really. But this was one, and he was injured. So, but they played United in Houston. I went to see it, and that's a B team, United's B team. There was, not a lot of players on that, and yeah, they got beat 5-1.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but I will say this last World Cup, America did really well.
They had a pretty good run.
They did good, yeah. Okay. I don't know. This is the thing though, they're not consistent. Like this, they did great this World Cup, but the next one they might not do anything.
Yeah.
So
do you still follow UK soccer closely?
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Because I saw on your Facebook Manchester United. That's
yeah.
the only reason. I don't know any of it. That's the team.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other thing that I saw on your Facebook is something about pikeys.
Oh, that's just a term off Snatch.
What is it?
Yeah, you've seen the movie Snatch?
I haven't.
It's they talk about pikeys and they're basically gypsies.
Gypsies. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would come through the towns, and your pets would go missing, and your laundry, and then your milk on your door.
What would they take pets for?
They kill them, and then cook them. Yeah.
All right. Well, this isn't quite as funny as I had anticipated.
It's not funny. It's not. It is if it's a cat that you don't like that's your neighbour's.
Well, yeah.
But
right.
yeah, they would kill the animals, eat them, and then come out in the pubs and start fights. And nobody wanted to fight them because they were so dirty.
Dirty fighters.
No.
Physically dirty.
Physically dirty. Like you didn't want to catch anything, so you never wanted to fight them.
All right.
Yeah.
So what brought you to the States other than to get away from
pikeys? They were nasty.
Now, how long have you been in the States?
95 was when I moved over here.
And what did bring you?
Well, I went to college over here. I came over in 93, worked on a camp in Monticello, New York, upstate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for people with disabilities. That was great. Did the thing a year later in Dallas. And then while I was going to the camp in Dallas, I auditioned for a drama school, got a scholarship, came back next year.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, when did you start doing comedy?
2002.
And why? Why did you start?
Because I would just get fired from every job that I was at for something.
Yeah.
And I figured I should do something where I'm my own boss, and then I won't get fired as much. So, yeah. I mean, I still get fired, though, at some of the clubs, but not as much.
Yeah.
Now I'm in control.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was your first time? I mean, if you did drama, obviously you were on stage.
Thespian.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was terrible. But I got the scholarship because I did a Shakespearean monologue, and they didn't know I was English when I did the thing, and they were like, you just...
drilled the accent.
That was perfect. It was flawless, and I was like, I know. And they were like, look, he's still doing the accent.
So can you do an American accent?
No.
Not even a little bit?
No, we had classes on it, but I'm like...
Couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it,
Yeah.
no. But I didn't need to. I really didn't need to, like, because I would get parts because of the accent. So it was easy.
Yeah.
It was easy, you know. It was fun as well.
And so anyway, going back to the comedy, what was your first time on stage doing comedy?
Well, the
Like,
first time I ever went on stage, I was 19, and for some reason I wanted to be a magician, right? But I didn't know many tricks. Right?
So you were going to do comedy magic?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I was going to be famous.
Gotcha.
I
Like
was
the
gonna
Amazing
be
Jonathan?
famous.
and-
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to rule the world.
Sure.
And it was for about 180 old people, right?
Your first gig?
First gig, yeah. And I knew nothing about being on stage. I'd never used a microphone before. And I had one trick, and it was a psychic trick where you would say a number, a color, and a name, and I would try and predict it, and then I'd get them all wrong, but then in the end I'd pull out these pieces of paper and they'd have them all on, right? And it was a really good trick.
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize is I bought markers in yellow because I thought for some reason it's gold, it looks classy. On white paper. I don't know what I was thinking.
A highlighter?
Right? So
You use it like a highlighter?
yeah. So
That really plays well on the stage.
yeah, I pulled out and I was like, ta-da! And the old people were like, we can't see it, love. And like, it says 7. And they're like, yeah, we can't see it, love, you'll have to pass it round. So I'm like, okay. So I pass it, and then one table at a time, these old people would clap. Like a table of 4, they were like, that's brilliant! He's like David Copperhead, isn't he?
Dude,
And then they'd be like, pass
sweat.
it back, Rita, pass it back. And it went to the next one, and then they go, where is it? It says 7 on it, it does. Then it went all the way around the room. It took 25 minutes for it to come back.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then I did, and I thought it was amazing, you know. But, and the old people, they liked it, I guess.
Yeah.
But the guy that booked it was like, you've never done this before, have you? I was like, why would you say that?
The markers gave you away, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. But, that was the first time I ever went on stage.
So did you stick with the magic thing for a while?
Well-
or did you realize it's just too because the thing that always puzzled me about doing comedy magic is just the accessories. Like
Yeah.
there's so many moving parts that if something goes wrong, you are screwed.
The second time I did it at a British Legion, right? Now I was coaching for the Bobby Charlton School of Soccer. One of the kids' dads was a stand-up comedian. Because I'm doing this charity benefit, I've heard you're a magician. And I go, well, comedy magician, actually. And
Double threat.
Yeah, I was already, telling everybody what I was doing.
Yeah.
And he goes, come do my show. He goes, I've been a stand-up for 35 years, dude. And he goes, there's 400 people there. I'll just put you in the middle. You can do like 20 minutes. I was like, yep. So,
Oh my God.
So I go and I'm like, I should really get better tricks, right? So I go to a magic shop that day in Manchester, and the thing is, what people don't realize is, you see these guys do these tricks and you think, I'll buy that one, but they're real magicians,
Right.
and there's still a skill to this trick.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
A dexterity to it,
yeah,
and timing,
and
and
I didn't
all
have
that.
any of that,
Right.
but I'm watching these tricks and they're just selling me trick after trick after trick, and I'm like, this is gonna be so cool. So I get these tricks and I get a guy on stage. I mean, it was probably the worst I've ever seen anybody bomb ever, right? Because I get this guy on stage, eventually, he doesn't want to come on stage, and he's arguing, and then he gets on stage, and then, I'm like, pick a card, and he's like, close your eyes. I'm like, well, I'm not looking. He goes, he's looking. I'm like, just pick a card, dude. Stop being a dick. And he's like, well, he's looking at the card I'm going to pick, so he already knows. I'm like, I'm not, dude. So he would, and then he'd pull it, and then I told him to put it back, and he didn't. So I close it up, and then I couldn't find his card. And
that's the other thing. If you're relying on somebody else, to
and I'd
carry
got
the
no
trick-
stage experience.
Holy
So eventually, I told him, I said, if you don't start doing what I say, I'm going to punch you, right? And this is in front of 400 people, and everyone's just, by this time, everyone's going,
Did they think this was a shtick?
no.
Like
They were like, this is going terribly wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I was like, what's going to get them, though, is the trick at the end. When they see this genius, they're going to go, it was worth it. And the trick was, there was a balloon, and someone picks a card, and they sign it, and you push a button, and the card is in the balloon at the end of it, signed and everything.
Right.
But what happens is, behind you have the stack of cards like this, the balloon's here. You put the cards down, there's a little clip that grabs the bottom card, and you push a button, and it brings it round so fast.
Oh, that it
pops
looks
the
like,
balloon,
right.
but it looks like it's in the middle of the balloon.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? Let me fucking tell you what could go wrong, right? this thing, I shuffled it. Finally, this guy, I go, just write your name on the card, and he wrote Dick. I'm like, so I put it in and put it down, and everything's going good, and I'm like, I know it's been a bit of an unusual show, ladies and gentlemen, but get ready for your minds to be blown. And I pushed the button, and the clip thing, because I didn't have good sleight of hand, didn't grab the card properly, right? So the balloon pops, but there's no card in it. Right? There's nothing in it.
It's just a stick.
The card flew off that way, and I saw it go, and it was like, poof, pop, and I'm like, oh my God. And everyone's like, where's the card? And the guy on stage is like, it's over here, because the clip thing didn't grab it, and I was like, wow. So I get off stage, that was my finale.
Right.
And it was literally 400 people, and then one person started to clap, but then realized nobody else was. Like, I was like, thank you very much, and I just heard it. So
my God.
I get off stage, and I go in the back, and the comedian that booked it, the guy, he comes back, and he goes, what the hell was that? And I go, well, that guy, and he goes, no, we'll talk after. But I got to go on stage now and make him laugh.
God.
So he goes up, he does an hour and kills it. This guy's 35-year veteran of
Now,
comedy.
did he rag on you for the first?
Probably. I was in the back and I was just numb from the shock of things.
How did you ever get back on stage? I mean, an experience like that, because we've all, as a comic, you've eaten it.
Yeah.
Just eat and gotten in the car and gone, I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. I'm never doing this again. It's a waste of time. So how did you get?
Well, he said to me
balls
after the show, he goes, there's two things you can take away from this. He said, you can continue knowing that it'll probably never, ever be that bad again.
Right.
It might be close, but that was about as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
He goes, that was horrible. He goes, honestly, I've never seen anything that bad in my life. And he goes, so
35 years.
Yeah, he goes,
35 years of performing.
yeah, he goes, so it can only get better, I would assume, by the laws of the universe.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. And he goes, or you could quit. And he goes, I wouldn't rule that possibility out either. So I was like, it wasn't really how it worked out.
So when was the next time after that? I'm
10 years
fascinated by
later.
that story, man.
10 years later, yeah. And then
10 years later, you
Yeah.
got on stage again?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Because of that, it was that.
yeah, and like
Or just-
I lost interest in it because I realized that I wasn't good at it.
Well, yeah, but the magic. I mean, because the thing is like when you and I worked together 4 or 5 years ago, my impression is you're the type of comic where you could get on stage and read the phone book, and just because of your personality and your affect and your energy, you're going to get a laugh. You've got a great stage presence.
Well,
that can carry
I'm
you.
the class clown, you know, so that's basically what it is. It's not
Yeah.
really any artist or anything inside.
I disagree,
I'm
but
an
what-
idiot, basically. I'm just an idiot.
Professional
Yeah,
idiot.
the more I drink, the funnier I get.
I agree.
But you don't. But I started doing open mics in Dallas, and I lied to get into the open mics. I said I was a comedian from England, and
Oh, that's a great idea.
yeah, and it worked. Well, it worked until I went on stage,
Yeah.
and then they were like, well, it was either.
Whereabouts in England?
Yeah, they were like, how long ago was this? And
You know, I think generally Americans are enamored with the British.
yeah,
I mean, the accent, the whole, you could say anything. It's like,
And-
wow, this guy's really
well,
sharp.
this guy, these two women
Not to
came
imply
up.
you're not.
Right, no,
Yeah.
no, the truth is better. But these two women came up to me the first time I did an open mic, and they said, just want to say that was great. And I thought, oh, wow. And they go, we didn't understand a word of it, but it sounded great. So I was like...
They
so-
were just struggling with
Yeah, they didn't
with the
understand any of
accent.
the jokes or anything, but they just said it sounded really nice.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I was like, you know, maybe I do have a little bit of an angle over here if I can work on this stuff.
Yeah.
And then after like 6 months, one of the owners of the open mic called me while I was working. I worked in a group home. I don't know what I'd done, and I always thought I was doing okay at it. I was always honest with myself. I knew when I hadn't done well, but I thought I was doing all right. And they said that, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to do this for a living, so we don't want you to come back. And like that was a crusher as well. Man.
Wow.
That was, yeah. Like I was like, what did I do? And they were like, you're just not that good. And that's like an open mic, man. And so I was like, what?
You've got tremendous fortitude, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
grinding it out.
Well, I always knew because of my person. I am an extrovert, and I knew that if I could work it out, where I can get my nightlife personality on stage, once I got comfortable, I know that then it would get easier.
Yeah.
And so it just became that process of becoming more and more comfortable. You have to have the jokes to make them laugh, but if you can find yourself as well, then it gets easier and easier. And it honestly, I started out and I stopped doing it again after that open mic for a while, but then I was like, no, I'm gonna do this now.
Yeah.
Like it started just making my blood boil a little bit. Like it wasn't to prove them wrong, it was really that I just knew that they were and I could do something about it. So anyway, I started doing it again. And I got, after my first MC gig, I actually got to work with Christopher Kid Reed out of House Party.
No kidding.
Yeah, and Billy D. Washington, who was a national headliner. It was like my second MC gig. Billy saw me and he said, hey, I think you'd be good for this comedy House Party tour that we're doing. I'm going to speak to Kid. We'll get a gig, and if he likes you, then, we'll do it. So I said, all right. I mean, I had no work. I was DJing and bartending.
Right.
And he called me a couple of days later and said, all right, come up to Missouri this weekend. We're going to do the VU, and we'll see how it works out. So I did that weekend. Me and Kid became like almost best friends, and we still are now.
Yeah.
And then so I went from my second time ever MCing to being full-time on the road.
And that's when you decided this is it. This is what.
Yeah, I went from, I'd done 2 gigs.
Yeah.
I'd done 2 MC gigs, and on the second one, I went full time, 45 weeks of the year.
No way.
Just like that.
And when was that? How long? When was?
That was in 2002.
Gotcha. So you've been doing this full time for
12 years.
12
yeah,
years.
Yeah. And then I just started working on my jokes. Like my Austin Powers thing was the big thing. That got me so much work, and I could be crap for 12 minutes and do this, and people were like, oh. So it saved me. It really did. But then, so then I built up my time, and eventually, I would be getting work with Kid and Billy, and the clubs would say, hey, we want you to come back as well, like every 6 months. So the work doubled up. It got so busy because at Austin Powers that I was booking almost 2 years out.
No shit.
It was insane. And not making any phone calls.
Right.
It was nuts.
Well, that's one thing I noticed when I was trying to reconnect with you, is you don't have much of a presence online.
Right.
I mean, is it because that you've
really
sort of built that
it.
reputation and you've got contacts?
Yeah, I've never really needed to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be better if I did, I guess. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lazy, so I mean,
So you
that's
got
not
it.
going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but unless I have some life-changing event. But yeah, so it just went like that, and then the progression happened. I started headlining early because of that closer again.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it was good, but without me realize. I didn't realize what I'd got and why it was working. I just thought people laughed because it was funny. But there was things now that I see, like nobody remembers your name on stage.
Right.
It doesn't matter how well you do. Right after the show, they'll come up and they go, what was your name again?
Yeah.
Like they forget it. But everybody knows who Austin Powers is.
Yeah.
They know that name.
So there was a connection.
So on the comment cards, they would write Austin Powers.
Bring him back.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
So there was a familiarity to it. I just really fluked into it. I had no idea that was going on. But yeah, it built up so fast.
Oh.
And then as time went on, I just started to take it out more and more. And then I just was like, I don't want to be the comic that just does this. Because I've seen comics
Right.
that have done the same thing for 20 years. And to me, I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
you know, that's just boring.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I mean, and it's a monologue at that point.
Well, and like you said, you're your own boss. And
Yeah.
So you have to live with what you're producing.
Right.
And so it's up to you. Do I want to be this person for the rest of my career? Do I want to start changing
Yeah.
it up and
Yeah,
you know,
and I
use
just,
that momentum to do other things?
yeah, I don't like doing the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
my act doesn't change as much as it should, but that's because I'm lazy, right? But I mean, whenever I get the opportunity to change it, I will change it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like saying the same jokes over and over.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
boring.
yeah.
You know, it's just stupid monologue stuff.
Well, Steve, man, I appreciate you taking the time. We got to wrap it up because I know they're getting ready to
Cool.
get the showroom started.
Thank you
for
so
It's
much.
always
man.
a pleasure to see
Next
you.
time I'm here, we'll tell the story
No.
on the time you got really drunk.
No, yeah, we'll do that next time. Anyway, good night, everybody.